Doing CRO for media websites is a very different game than for e-commerce, especially when working with or introducing Paywall. And did I ever tell you I have a master's degree in journalism? Back then, 15 years ago, we were in the middle of this huge transformation where everything went from offline to online. Fast forward to today, things have changed. We're kind of used to paying for content online now. Think Spotify, think Netflix, etc. So how do you now draw the line between free and paid? I think every media brand has to decide, do we pull up any walls? And if so, how do we do that? And it's very helpful to find and create this perfect paywall because a perfect paywall depends on your brand and audience too. Now, I have 3 simple rules to keep in mind when working with a paywall. It spells out FAV. First F is from frictionless, because people have a limit to the amount of effort they're willing to take to go through the whole flow in your paywall, pay and read an article. And that brings us to the second point, articles, the A. Articles are usually the main drivers of subscription in this case. So especially long form articles are really big drivers of subscriptions and people want to pay to read them. And then the last one, the V, is from value. You need to communicate the value that you're offering after people sign up for the subscription really clear. So you want to make it clear that, hey, if you subscribe now, you're gonna get instant access to this content, this thing that you want to read. Set up your gate. How do you set up your wall? The first option you have is to have it fully gated. So all your content is behind the wall. And of course, Google can still index this. So you will still get traffic to your website, etc. And you can work on a strategy to maybe increase that. So you can go from 30% to 50% of open articles and maybe then even 70%. And by taking small steps, you'll learn about the business case. You'll learn like, hey, our traffic stays stable, our retention is good. What happens if we increase it even more? Usually what you see is, like I said, traffic stays the same, but actually the conversions increase. Then you also have partially gated, and you can think about having 20-30% of your articles, of your content for free. No need to sign up or subscribe or anything. Now what you want to do here is play around with this percentage. So first you want to start out maybe with a 30% of free articles and 70% gated, and you might want to increase that over time. So you want to run an experiment and you want to see what happens when you go to 50%. And you want to run an experiment to see what happens if you go to 70% gated. And then what you usually see and what we see with our clients is that the retention of visitors actually stays the same. The visitors coming in also stay stable, but then what happens is the actual conversion rate to the subscription goes up. So it's a very nice tool to find, the perfect balance there. Then a third option is teaser gating. So you show a little piece of the content before gating. So that might be an intro of the article. And this is tricky for fast journalism and fast news. Once you have your walls up, there is a lot you can do to optimize them. First thing that might be important is the proposition. Are you only showing one offer, or are you showing 2 offers next to each other? Something you might also see a lot is that there is a little toggle or switch between a short-term subscription online, so let's say 4 weeks, versus a long-term subscription or a year. And it's very important to experiment and test with this, what works best, what actually increases average order value. So running a B test with that can steer visitors into certain directions. And also you can work with discounts, because you can give a discount for the people that sign up to a year subscription, for example. Now, to A B test with these examples, and if you want to measure average order value, things do get a little bit more complicated and you might need more traffic, like 30K visitors per variant, depending on how much you convert as well. Next to that, you might also want to think about, hey, is there a secondary pathway? Is there a journey for people that are already subscribers, that are already our customers? Because you want to treat them good, you want to have an entry point for them there. And whenever you do that, you will see that there is quite some volume that goes through these CTAs or secondary pathways. You might not want to attract too much attention with those, but it is important to keep your customer base happy. Then the content inside the wall is, of course, something you can experiment with a lot: the text, the CTA. Are you going to use social proof? Are you already going to show a field that people can fill in? Can they already click on a Paywall button? Those kind of things are things to play around with. The location of the call to action, the discounts, how you communicate the values of your brand and what visitors will get and how fast they can read their article, etc., etc. Those are all things you can. First of all, I really love The Guardian because they don't use a very traditional paywall. Instead, their messaging focuses on values. So protecting free press, holding power to account, providing trustworthy journalism. It's all about fairness. Then a different type of brand is Elle, and then the French website. What they have experimented with is contextual paywalls. And this has increased their conversion rate at least by 20%. So it's very, very interesting. Now, if you want to optimize for a media website, it's going to be a little bit harder than your traditional e-commerce web shop. But honestly, I love that. Paywalls aren't just walls, they're actually doors. And how you design them helps people go through that door and step in. So I'm very curious to your experience. Please share with us. But I love to come up with a good strategy, to use UX research to make sure it all aligns with the brand, and to run a ton of experiments to make sure we have the best paywall for you. We've had a lot of customers, clients from increased conversion rate that are media websites. And for me personally, it's also always a nice challenge.